question for Netflix. When are we going to cast Millie Bobby Brown as a character whose name does not begin with the letter E? Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. All right, today I'm going to be talking about Netflix's Damsel. The 2024 flick stars Millie Bobby Brown, Angela Bassett, Ray Winstone, and Robin Wright. In this movie, a young woman agrees to marry a handsome prince only to discover it is all a trap. She must help to reconcile the past and discover her inner strength. This movie, first and foremost, can we talk about the fact that Beowulf marries the Queen Mother of Wakanda? I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I think, one, it benefits you to perhaps not see the trailer because the trailer does give away a lot, okay? And I'm going to try my best to not give away any major spoilers in this review, but to tell you the things that I think you'll enjoy about this movie and some things that you might not enjoy so you can prepare yourself to watch this movie and have a good time. If you already have Netflix, guess what? You don't have to pay anything extra to watch it. So it's definitely worth, I think, the time that you'll spend with it. It's definitely not a waste of time. And I will say that for a lot of the naysayers, this movie really harkens back to the fantasy films of the 1980s and early 90s. And I had a lot of fun with that. That's a genre we really enjoy in this household. In the film, Millie Bobby Brown stars as Elodie, a woman from a far and distant land that is struggling, and her family arranges a marriage for her to a handsome prince from a wealthy kingdom. She has to reconcile the idea of duty and honor in order to go away from her family and to make this marriage work. The things I really enjoyed about this movie were seeing Millie Bobby Brown really come into her own as a leading lady. She really carries this film and sells herself on a fairly competent action hero. She is going through the very typical hero's journey, and this movie is not going to stray too far from the stereotypical movie notes in a fantasy film, so don't go into it expecting that. I think what is unexpected is, of course, there is a female empowerment theme of it, but I think that that's just something that is a byproduct anytime you put a female lead in a role, because, you know, history doesn't usually cast them in those kinds of lights. So once we get there, it's ingrained into the role. But it's not necessarily that the film is trying to hammer in that as the message. There's a dragon, and it's a very typical dragon. In fact, I feel like the dragon design for this matched the dragon in Shazam, the second one. In this movie, there's a lot of thrills, there's a lot of jumps. It's really a survival movie where Millie Bobby Brown is trapped by herself for a very long time trying to survive. And I think that most of those sequences are very nicely done. The movie is also extremely aesthetically pleasing. When they're in the kingdoms, they're very large, sweeping, broad landscapes. It's very colorful. It looks beautiful. There are a couple of moments where the CGI is a little glitchy, but it didn't deter overall from the feel of the movie or my enjoyment of the movie. In fact, I would have enjoyed seeing more of the kingdom that she is in, because I thought that there was a little bit of mystery and intrigue there that, of course, again, the trailer gives a lot of that away, but I thought that while we were there, it was nice. The movie takes a little while to really get going because they're trying to create all this backstory and history and relationship between the characters, but the premise of the movie is, for the most part, Millie Bobby Brown's character of Elodie being by herself trying to survive. And I felt like perhaps a better mechanism for that would have been to show her alone at first, to show her in the midst of her survival, and then to flash back to some of those moments so that they could have been integrated throughout the film. It might have helped for the pacing. For some people have complained about the pacing of this movie, while I didn't mind it, and I felt like it was actually better paced than most of the fantasy films from the 80s and 90s. Some people do talk about the pacing being an issue. I think that that would have been a better way to integrate that. The score of this is really nice. It's the music is executive produced by Hans Zimmer, so of course it would be. It feels like really Netflix put some money into this, and I think it shows. Now, I think that there are some things in the script that could have been retooled and reworked a little bit better. Definitely the dialogue wasn't the best, very stereotypical, very, generic for a fantasy film. I won't say that goes so far as to say it feels like it was written by AI, but I definitely think that there were moments that the characters could have said less and said more at the same time, if that makes sense. The only character that I kind of didn't enjoy as much in the movie was the younger sister, played by Brooke Carter. And no offense to her, but just her character was the typical annoying little sister who kind of causes problems and doesn't really understand her place. And I think that it's like understandable that her character exists because it helps to flesh out Elodie's character and show her as a potential leader and as a mentor. And so I understood that, but her character was kind of annoying. The end of the movie, while triumphant, was a bit cringe. For me, it was the cringiest moment. But again, I harken back to those fantasy movies of the 1980s. Those all had incredibly cheesy moments that if you go back to them now, it's like, why shouldn't our heroine get a cheesy moment as well? I do think that if you go into this movie not expecting it to be the next Game of Thrones, you'll have a lot of fun with it. And I think by and large, I think the actual critics are a little bit wrong on this. It seems like the fans are enjoying this movie and this experience way more than the critics are. And I think it's because critics are overthinking the movie and expecting it to be this grand event. And it's just, it could be better. You do have Angela Bassett, you do have Wright, but also, why can't people sometimes just play around in these fun worlds? I think that it was exciting to see the characters there. I wish that they had done a little bit more. And I would say that that was my one takeaway. The one thing that really kind of like bumps the movie down. It's just that I feel like it didn't use those characters as much. But I think that the time that was spent with Millie Bobby Brown did what it needed to do. It showcased her as an up and coming future action star. It shows that she has the potential to really take off and to continue to do things beyond the world of Stranger Things. And for that, I think it did what it needed to be done. I'm going to give this movie a solid B. Let me know down below in the comments if you watched it and if you enjoyed it. Have a good time with this one. Eat some popcorn. All right, guys, that's all for today. Hope to guys see you soon. And until then, take care. Toodles.